Hey there and welcome back to XCOM 2. My name is Pete and today we complete another episode of our Legend Ironman walkthrough of XCOM 2 War of the Chosen. Last time we left off, after completing a relatively small mission, we safely extracted our 3-person covert action squad from enemy territory and as a result are now one step closer to finally hunting down the assassin. Now today things will get a bit more interesting as we have our very first alien facility sabotage mission coming up. Before we begin with that, however, let us quickly start excavating another building spot. I have to admit I kind of neglected that over the last few episodes and we probably should have done this a few in-game days earlier. Nonetheless, this won't cause a huge delay, you will see why at the end of the video. Still, having another engineer on board would definitely make things a lot easier for us, so let's quickly check the black market, which has now refreshed after last episode's supply drop.
Avenger plotting new course.
Market is open.
Unfortunately though, there is nothing here. We can only recruit another scientist, but I think we're good on that front. And so I think we'll have to make do with only 3 engineers for just a little while longer. Nonetheless, we will take a very important step towards actually winning this playthrough today, as coming up next we will attack our very first alien facility. After making contact with East Africa in the last episode, we can now finally strike back. We have also picked up an extra point of armor piercing from a resistance order, and so I would say we are as well prepared as we can be for what comes next. And this right here will be our squad, 4 familiar faces and a new one. Yes, a specialist might be useful, and our 2 go-to guys are currently occupied elsewhere. And so meet Oscar Soler, nicknamed Zucchini. Oscar grew up in a rural part of Norway. There he mastered the arts of growing zucchini from his father, a well-known zucchini master farmer. Life was good until the aliens came. They abducted his family and the recipe for growing the ultimate zucchini. Oscar had to choose who to save, for the aliens took them to different facilities. He knew that the aliens would either kill his family or destroy the recipe if he did not act quickly. Naturally, Oscar chose to rescue the zucchini recipe. Sadly though, on his way back to the farm, he fell into a puddle and the recipe dissolved. From that day onward, he swore revenge upon the cursed aliens. So yes, an absolutely lovely biography here, submitted by patron supporter Biao. And if you want to join the Pete Complete Patreon and submit a character of your own, then you can find a video explaining how to do that in the description and the comments down below. Now Zucchini here sports the Boltcaster, as a squaddy his aim stat could definitely use the boost, and he is also carrying the Frost Bomb as a utility item. Before we go then, we can also quickly slap a speed PCS onto Ranger Warhawk. He already picked up a 2-point speed boost as part of a covert action, I believe. This one now brings his mobility stat up to 15, 3 points higher than the default.
Sky Ranger deployed.
We're in the pipe, 5x5.
One of our resistance contacts tipped us to an alien facility apparently conducting research tied to the Avatar project. We're moving in to take out the site and do whatever we can to slow their progress. Approach the designated target position and place the X4 charges. Then move to the evac point for immediate extraction. Once you're clear, we'll make sure that facility is out of commission for good. -15. Target coordinates are locked in. Move to designated position and place the X4 charges.
The squad is concealed.
Alright, and there we are in concealment, and you saw it during our flight over here. Our mission is to plant some X4 charges to destroy the facility. The game has also marked a very particular spot for us to do that, and as you can imagine, we will likely meet some enemy resistance along the way. Very importantly, the mission also does not end with us planting the X4. As you can see in the top left corner, we also still need to extract our squad afterwards. So let's see if we can manage to do all of that and start scouting, as always with Reaper Dragunova, who on this first move here does not see anything, so let's move her up a little bit further. Alright, the coast looks clear for now. That means we can follow suit with the rest of our squad. Starting the mission in concealment with everyone definitely makes things a bit easier in that regard. Alright, there we go. That didn't take long. We have found our first group of enemies. Slowly marching towards us are a purifier, a mech, and a unit we haven't actually seen before.
Got some hostiles grouped over here.
although except for the Purifier they all vanish out of sight range for now. Now what we just saw was an Advent unit with a substantial amount of armor. Let's move up with Dragunova here to get them back into view.
You cannot run.
And there they are, 9 hit points, 3 points of armor, meet the Advent Shield Bearer. Now, contrary to what the name suggests, they don't actually carry a shield around. They can, however, deploy an energy shield generator, which will then provide shields to all nearby units. And especially in the case of units that are already heavily armored, like the mech for example, that is something we would like to avoid, so let's ensure that we stay hidden as we move up a little bit closer here. If everything works well, then we should be able to quickly neutralize this group.
Watching comes naturally.
Okay, there they go, continuing to move towards the right. So far so good, for now things should still work out. Interestingly enough then, a lone Viper appears on the other side of the area, and this is a bit strange because Vipers usually don't appear on their own.
You will never have eyes on the enemy.
So 1 or 2 additional enemies should still be somewhere in the shadows, but for some reason the Viper seems to be the only one actively on patrol. Either way, currently that doesn't actually concern us. Instead, let us once again take note of the fact that our group on the other side has a Purifier among them, a Purifier that will go up in a violent explosion if we kill it with an explosive of our own.
Soon our prey will fall.
And well, we can do that without even revealing our squad, so let's drop a Claymore here with our Reaper Dragunova and subsequently blow it up.
Resistance contacts had heard rumors Advent might be rolling out a heavy infantry armor system. Looks pretty tough.
And yes, indeed, a bit more flavor text on the shield bearer, who is the only one escaping this ambush. The mech meanwhile stood too close to the Purifier and suffered the consequences. And the 4 points of health left on the shield bearer are actually also perfect for us. You'll see why in just a moment. For now though, let's appreciate the fact that we are still in concealment, so our enemies, their numbers now reduced by 2, are none the wiser. Now, on the enemy turn, the shield bearer does the smart thing and joins up with the Viper. However, with only 4 hit points left, that is not going to do them any good, while it works out perfectly for us, more specifically Reaper Dragunova.
I will reposition.
Now, as she moves up, she also detects a turret, and you can also spot a mech here. We'll talk about that in just a second. More importantly though, she has a 97% chance to hit, and if she does, the kill is guaranteed. And what is also guaranteed is that she will remain in concealment during all of this, thanks to the silent killer perk we picked up recently. The description here is in fact a bit misleading, as is the 50% chance to be revealed displayed at the top of the screen. For the first shot though, that chance is actually 0, and all that silent killer does is keep it at 0 if the shot connects and gets us a kill.
Ammunition is nearly depleted.
And that it does, and that is our first alien pod completely eliminated, and our entire squad is still in concealment. And who knows, maybe we can even pull off a few more shenanigans. For now though, let us also take note of the fact that the aforementioned mech and turret have come into view. The latter obviously can't move those, so it should be fairly easy to plan around. Our concealment also allows us to safely move up a bit more, and then we end our turn on Overwatch just in case.
I've got my eyes on.
The enemy turn then uneventful, so at the beginning of ours the situation remains unchanged. Still, the absence of a mission timer here allows us to take things very slowly, so before we open fire, let us continue to scout ahead.
Volk says I am to obey. The time for hiding is over.
What would appear to be a single entity is actually a swarm of tiny robotic units working in close coordination to maintain a cohesive form.
And it's a good thing we did, because not only have we just revealed a second turret, but also another group of enemies, and among them another new enemy. Now, Tygan already pointed out the important thing: this is indeed a robotic enemy. It is called a Spectre, and it has a few nasty abilities that we don't get into here now. Suffice it to say that it is a rather unique enemy focused on concealment and deception, but at the moment, at least in terms of concealment, we definitely have the upper hand, so perhaps we can once again use that to our advantage. For now though, let's quickly collect the loot here before it vanishes. That rewards us with an expanded magazine and an autoloader, both fairly useful.
I won't lose it, don't worry.
And then we just stay on Overwatch and see what that new group actually does. Right, so they haven't moved far, but it seems to me like they are moving towards the left. And if that is the case, then we want to be close by with our Reaper. I'll hopefully be able to show you why in just a second. For now, we remain hidden and on Overwatch though. There is absolutely no reason to rush or take any risks at this point. Right, so the enemy group continues to move towards the left, which is great. Ideally, we get them to stop right next to this thingy here, because that can be blown up with Dragunova's remote start for 12 points of damage.
I won't let them Overwatch affirmative coverage.
Affirmative, covering now.
This could take a few more turns though. Right, so nothing on this turn, and on the next enemy turn they are unfortunately moving right past the machine. Eventually they might return, but for now let's just put some distance between them and Dragunova and keep watching.
My turn, Roger. I've got eyes on next.
Okay, so now they have caught up with the Viper, which I believe that mech actually also belongs to. Either way, this would now put all 4 enemies into the blast radius of one of Twitchy's grenades. However, those also only deal a quarter of remote start's damage, so I think it might be a good idea to just wait a little bit longer. Maybe another opportunity presents itself after all. Alright, and indeed it has, because there seems to be another remote start target inside of this building here. And as you can see by the absolutely humongous explosion radius, all 3 targets would be affected, not to mention that this would still not blow our concealment.
Our world is dangerous.
And there we go, 2 sectoids have been instantly killed. The Spectre survives once again with only 4 hit points. And that means Dragunova should have another easy, risk-free kill on the next turn, so no need to do anything else here but to go on Overwatch. The Spectre then makes use of its vanishing ability, entering concealment of its own. However, that concealment is immediately broken because it moves into a position where it is flanked, otherwise it would have remained hidden for the duration of our turn. This way though it presents an easy target, so let's move up with our Reaper, make use of a first of 2 free reloads,
Loading fresh ammo.
and then have her eliminate what is already the second alien pod.
No one will mourn.
Alright, I have to say, pretty good start so far, although we do of course still have a good number of enemies left. The fact that both the Viper as well as the mech seem to have stopped patrolling is a bit annoying though, not to mention the 2 turrets that back them up. Nonetheless, we have time on our side, and so far that has been a huge boon, so let's go on Overwatch once more and prepare to act on the next turn. With our enemies once again remaining where they are, we can make a few strategic movements here, however we won't strike just yet.
I'll watch closely. On Overwatch.
Right, so at this point I think we have no other choice but to reveal ourselves, and with a guaranteed hit and an 86% chance to crit, Ranger Warhawk has the best opening action, so let's see what he can do.
One down, thousands to go.
Alright, lovely, that is what I had hoped for, instant kill, but our squad is now revealed, and that does in fact trigger the mech now, who was apparently part of that Viper's group. And it looks like we'll get to use that other remote start location after all, as the mech has conveniently come to a halt right next to it.
Always observe your surroundings.
Okay, so far this mission has been an absolute breeze. However, we do still have 2 turrets left, and the mission was also rated difficult, which means there should be 1 other enemy group present. For now though, the only thing in sight range are the turrets, and we'll make sure to stay out of theirs, and then I'll show you a neat trick on how to deal with them. First of all though, let's continue scouting. After all, information is power.
As you order, Commander.
Right, so nothing here, and that means it's time to move up with Grenadier Twitchy. This now puts her in range of the first turret, and as you can see, thanks to her Shredder ability as well as the extra armor-piercing resistance order, a successful hit would immediately strip away 3 of the turret's points of armor. However, there is another option, and it involves a grenade. Sadly though, it looks like Twitchy needs to get just 1 tile closer, so for now we will have her retreat back into her old position and then try again on the next turn.
If you say so. I'll keep an eye on it.
So let's try this again, move Twitchy up 1 tile further, and from here she can now actually hit the turret as well as the roof underneath it. So let's see what that does. Right, so despite our grenade only dealing a single point of actual damage, we just instantly killed the turret, and that's because we destroyed the floor it was standing on. Remove that and any turret in the game will be immediately destroyed, which is why enemy turrets on destructible roofs are just incredibly easy to take out.
No place for you to go now.
Reaper Dragunova, meanwhile, detects a trio of sectoids, likely the last enemy group on this map. We'll have to wait and see whether or not they actually patrol. Either way, we are getting close to the X4 planting spot. With the first turret destroyed then, we can also slightly move up with the rest of the squad. For now though, we'll bide our time and if possible let the action come to us.
I see everything.
The enemy turn then remains uneventful, and so we are now preparing to tackle the second turret, and we're doing so by dashing Ranger Warhawk right next to the ladder leading up onto the roof here. The rest of the squad meanwhile will continue to stay on Overwatch. And once again the sectoids don't move, so Warhawk can now climb up onto the roof. The turret of course now detects him, but that happens just a little bit too late. At this point he can simply use his grenade to repeat what Twitchy did earlier.
This is for you.
And there we go, that's turret number 2 taken out, and all it took was an item that was available to us from the very beginning of the game. I have to admit though, I'm actually not quite sure if this is intended to be possible, but considering that the game has been out for over 7 years now and it hasn't been fixed, I'd have to imagine that this is a viable strategy. Let me know in the comments what you think about it though. If you want to, we can also employ some more elaborate means in the future. Either way, for now it's once again time to move up and prepare for that final group of aliens.
Menace 1-5, you're near the target position.
In the process, we now also officially locate the X4 spot, but again, there is no reason for us to rush in and plant that. Doing so would actually also reveal our Reaper, so I think it's best if we just bide our time a little longer. Once again then, the sectoids don't move, so we can spend another turn carefully inching closer. Nothing overly exciting, until Templar Logan makes an uncomfortable discovery.
They use that on people?
Yes, these facilities do of course not simply exist without a purpose, and we can see very clearly here that one of those purposes is performing strange stuff on humans. One more reason, I would say, to put an end to all of this.
No one will cross.
Covering
now.
The enemy turn then, as always, passes by uneventfully, so at this point we might as well get closer with our Reaper, while the rest of the squad slowly but steadily prepares for the ambush too. Unfortunately, we can also see that Twitchy is just a little bit too far away still for a grenade, but again, we still have plenty of time to find a better angle.
Watching comes naturally.
Overwatch!
For the first time in several turns then, the sectoids actually make a move, thankfully though away from us, reducing the number of potential sidelines, and this does bode well for Twitchy's chances to find them with a grenade after all, although we also don't want to get overzealous here. Who knows, maybe they decide to run back the way they came on the next turn, and in that case we want to be prepared.
I'll keep an eye on it.
Affirmative. Covering now.
Get some.
For the time being though, it doesn't look like it, so we can make a few more moves here. Apologies if this is all a bit boring to watch, but we're not really at that point of the game yet where 3 sectoids are an easy group of opponents, so any small advantage we can get we want to grab.
My turn on
Moving to
mark.
overwatch.
On the next turn then we can finally move Twitchy into position. If the sectoids don't move, then a grenade should be possible on the following turn, and so we're also not making any other major moves and just wait and see what happens. Right, so the sectoids have once again stayed where they are, and it took me quite some time, but we do have an angle, so let's launch that grenade and deal at least 3 points of damage to every single one of them.
Get ready for a surprise!
Right, lovely. I think playing the waiting game here was definitely worth it, because for our current squad the difference between 7 and 10 hit points cannot be overstated. This here definitely makes things a lot easier. And what would make things even easier is if Dragunova were to hit the critical here. She does get a 1 point damage boost after all, because the sectoid has already been injured this turn.
For the Reapers! I am out of rounds.
Alright, so we continue to sail smoothly through this mission. The other 2 sectoids are now guaranteed kills, the first one courtesy of Ranger Warhawk, while the other one falls to Templar Logan.
neutralized.
And there we go, that even leaves Specialist Zucchini to do his part. He can now make himself useful and plant the X4 charge.
Menace 1-5, status confirmed. X4 charges are armed. Move to the extraction point for immediate evac.
Right, so at this point, all we technically still have to do is to extract our squad, and the game also does not drop an extraction zone down for us. We have full control over its placement, although for the moment we want to hold off on actually putting it down. Suffice it to say, this mission is not over yet, and it might be a good idea to maintain some flexibility.
Just as we
Menace
killed them, they
1-5,
send
be
for more.
advised, we've picked up hostile reinforcements inbound on your position.
Yes, indeed, we have enemy reinforcements coming in. Those are triggered either by planting the X4 charges or by killing off the last group of enemies. And with enemy reinforcements not able to act on their first turn, this should be an easy way to gain 2 or 3 more kills. So let's put everyone into nice positions right around the drop zone, and then hopefully we can greet our enemies with a healthy dose of reaction fire.
I see a building.
Afirmativo, cubriendo.
I will always find you.
It's still moving!
Ni de cerca. Come on, focus.
We are known to them. They bring
Menace
more from our
1-5, be
hunt.
advised, we've picked up hostile reinforcements inbound on your position.
Right, so after an absolutely brilliant mission up until this point, this was probably one of the worst Overwatch ambushes in this series so far. Not a single enemy went down, although in case of the Purifier that is probably a good thing. Had it exploded right in the middle here, that could have done some damage, and that, next to the fact that we have another set of reinforcements coming in, is likely also the main challenge we are facing here on this turn. So, here's how we're going to play this. First of all, we'll move Ranger Logan so that he has a grenade angle on the Purifier. However, before we use that grenade, we want to first see what Twitchy can do against the Shield Bearer. If her shot here hits, then we can continue according to plan. Alright, and not only does she hit, but she even gets the critical. That wasn't even necessary, but it does make things easier. With Specialist Zucchini then also out of the blast zone, Logan can now drop the grenade, and that not only removes the Purifier's armor, but also deals some lovely fall damage in the process. Now, how we proceed once again depends on whether or not Ranger Warhawk can hit the axe throw here. And that he can, meaning he can now reward himself for it. Yes, in this position he is technically out of cover, but this is the only flanking spot that is more than 3 tiles away from the Purifier, and that is the distance we want to maintain, just in case it does blow up.
There you go.
As you can see though, it doesn't, as our streak of critical hits continues, and so it is now up to our already revealed Reaper Dragunova to eliminate the officer.
Your friends will join you soon.
And there we go, Specialist Zucchini can now even reload to end our turn, and now let's see what that second wave of reinforcements has in store for us. Right, so we have a mech, an advanced trooper and a stun lancer. I think this should be doable, considering that we have saved up one very important toy.
You can never escape forces are near. My position is
Mi
compromised.
posición ya no es segura.
Menace 1-5, X4 charges are armed. Get to the evac point. We don't have any time to spare.
This message from Bradford here then also indicates that this is indeed all we will get in terms of enemies. Once this group is defeated, there really is no point in hanging around any longer. So let's see how we go about doing that, and I would say we once again start things off with Twitchy. After all, she is the one in charge of shredding armor. Alright, lovely, the mech is already down to only 3 hit points. Before we finish it off though, let's see what Ranger Warhawk can do on a flanking shot against the trooper. Right, so I had hoped for another critical here, unfortunately though we don't get it. It's not the end of the world though, it just means that we will need one more turn. Dragunova meanwhile can take out the mech, blood trail ability or not, this would be a guaranteed kill.
Death to the invaders.
Templar Logan meanwhile can use his rend ability to eliminate the trooper. And that leaves only the Stun Lancer, who unfortunately might just be a bit too much to handle for Zucchini all on his own. So let's use the Frost Bomb here, after all we won't have any more reinforcements coming in. And there we go, one single frozen enemy stands between us and a flawless victory. And I think this marks an excellent opportunity for Zucchini to grab his very first kill. So let's have our Templar soften up the target first. And then we can hope and pray that Zucchini does not miss the 99%er. Alright, lovely, and with that all enemies have been defeated and we won't get any more. Still, the mission does not end until we extract everyone, but I don't think we need to drag this out any longer than necessary. Just in case, I waited until the next turn, just so we can extract everyone in one go. One after another, our operatives then leave the battlefield, and with that, our first alien facility assault comes to an end, and I have to say it could not have gone any smoother.
Menace 1-5, status confirmed. X4 charges detonating.
Yes indeed, a flawless raiding on this first sabotage mission. Obviously Dragunova's strong start played a huge role in this, but I think we were in control even after our squad had been revealed. Those 2 waves of reinforcements, then just a bit of XP farming as the cherry on top. All in all, this mission was an absolute blast to play.
20 years of peace and prosperity will not be undone by the reckless actions of a few misguided dissidents today. We stand with the elders. Trust in their wisdom, and we shall overcome this crisis.
As long as there's even one Reaper left standing, you can bet they're still in the fight. Finger on the trigger.
And here we are then, with a pretty tired, but most importantly uninjured squad back at the Avenger. Despite the mission length and the number of enemies we killed, we only have one promotion to give out, and that one goes to Ranger Warhawk, who now follows along in Starfall Antec's footsteps and also acquires a run and gun. Again, Conceal is not really a great option for a melee-focused character, but I promise we'll see it on someone sooner or later.
The destruction of this facility marks an important step towards the total elimination of the Avatar Project, Commander. Your team is to be commended.
And yes indeed, the completion of this mission has now reduced the Avatar Project progress by 1 point, and very importantly, and this is actually often overlooked, it has also slowed down any further progress. So we have definitely earned ourselves a bit of breathing room, and as we head back to the world map here, we can see that in action immediately. The progress bar at the top of the screen is now back to 9 out of 12 points. Still cutting it close perhaps, but we have finally begun striking back. At this point then, we are also reminded of our still outstanding supply drop, but I would say for the time being, let's actually fly over to the Skirmisher HQ.
Avenger plotting new course.
I think we need to get moving in terms of facilities, and the construction of the next one is actually right around the corner. And yes indeed, some debris has been cleared, so we can now finally construct a new facility.
Maximum power consumption reached.
Although it is going to be a rather underwhelming one. Yes indeed, we are once again at the power limit, so the only thing we can construct here is another power relay. So let's set that up, and we actually also won't assign any engineers to it. The 2 currently not occupied boosting our covert actions will now both be assigned to the dig site, which as you can see, even with that much manpower, will still finish after the power relay. It's not much, we're only losing 3 days here, but still, I think we could have managed this a little bit better. And by the way, yes I know, we could also upgrade our existing power relay to acquire a bit more power here and now. However, that would only give us 2 units of power, and all facilities we can currently construct require at least 3, so there really is no point in doing this. Instead, let's head back to the bridge and keep scanning for just a little while longer. Who knows, maybe someone has another mission for us, and we can then end the episode on that.
Some of my kind are now in a difficult position. Can you provide us with aid?
And indeed, it looks like our next mission will be one for the Skirmishers. And what a mission it's going to be. Not only will we acquire another scientist, but also a sergeant-level sharpshooter as well as a bunch of intel. And to make things even more interesting, the sitrep here tells us that we won't face any Advent enemies whatsoever, as the entire combat area will be populated solely by the Lost. So that is definitely shaping up to be an interesting one, and I hope you're looking forward to it as much as I am. For today then, I think we have reached a very good point to make the cut here, so as always, if you enjoyed the episode, then I would be very happy if you could leave a thumbs up. If you like what I'm doing and want to support me and my channel further, then you can of course go ahead and subscribe to stay up to date, grab some merch over on shop.petecomplete.com, or check out and maybe even pledge to the Pete Complete Patreon too. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.